wine isn't what I'm trying to go for here. So
we're live.
We know now, John.
We're live. No jokes about the
Everybody
photos.
hear that?
it's Hennessy, guys. I've already lost my black card. I can't afford it anymore.
Right. No.
He said-
So it's,
Come on.
are we all going to drink a 40? I don't understand. I'm trying to figure this out.
My gosh, this is going to be fun. So, hey, we are live. That's my signature opening line. We are live.
All right.
I have Mr. John Dawson, the amazing, beautiful Sherry Ame on with us, Robbie Cornelius, and some dude named Joe.
Yeah.
Joe
But
Ingram
also
is with-
beautiful. Okay. Let's just put that out there.
What?
So beautiful. Yeah. You forgot that part.
We got people popping on already. Kelly Combs, hey,
Hi, Kelly.
everybody popping on here, do me a favor and share this out.
Share it out, guys.
We are going to crush the narrative tonight. We are going to crush the narrative. So, Laura Wilkinson, thank you for joining. So, I want to talk about this. Kind of all started when Sherry sent me something the other day, and then we got on a phone call, and I said, you know what? Let's just go live and talk about this. And so by the way, I'm going to give you full screen every now and then, all of you, just so you know, as we talk through this stuff. But
I'm sending it to friends. Sorry.
Yeah, I'm
that's
posting it
a
on
lot
my
of
Facebook. Sorry, guys. I'm just letting people know.
That's a lot of sexy if you put me full screen. So you may not want to do it. It's going to go to NC-17, right? And you could lose some of your followers at that point.
Well, I want to talk about look, here, let me just put it out there. John Dawson said that I needed to title this, if you don't watch this, you ain't black. Amen. John's like, thanks for the bus tires.
Yeah.
My back.
Yeah.
So let's talk about it. Like, I think that, Joe Biden said it. He said that if you don't vote for him, then you ain't black. There's all kinds of stuff flying around in the black community. And I just want to get it all out on the table tonight. Let's talk about it. Sherry, why don't you start with telling me what we talked about? Just talk a little bit about that.
Sherry, can you tell us what you guys talked about? Because don't tell Ken what you talked about. He was there.
Yeah, right.
I would appreciate more if you told the rest of us.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, hey, everyone. My name is Sherry May. And I've known Ken for 5 years now. So a lot of you that may be watching this remember both of us building our brands on Periscope and Facebook live stream. So Ken and I have a very close relationship. We've supported each other for years. And I decided to post something to my private Facebook wall the other day, basically stating that, basically coming out of the closet and stating that I do not support socialism. I do not support defunding the police. I do not support the lies and the media manipulation. And to be honest, anyone that's been following my brand closely over the years, you would see that I started off sharing my story as a near-death survivor, building that brand and really building a community for myself. But I then went back into the tech world, which is where I started before my near-death tragedy. And so while I was in the tech space, I was exploring blockchain, cryptocurrency, cybersecurity, and I fell into, after a few years doing that, and being director of communications and advising many different startups, I fell into working for a company that discussed data ethics. Okay. And data ethics is a very, very broad field. And the majority of people probably don't even actually understand what it is. So maybe we can go into that a little bit later, but I'm just going to skip ahead. What I discovered in data ethics was shocking. I mean, what I really uncovered, I felt like I had discovered the biggest global crisis to humanity right at my fingertips. I mean, I was working with people that were connected to Edward Snowden. I was working with multiple other whistleblowers. I was working with different government officials. I was working with different tech executives and leaders. And so I learned a lot of stuff behind the scenes that I really didn't share publicly because it's such a broad topic, and it affects every area of your life. And it's not a simple post, you know. You really have to sit down with people and share this breakdown of what is actually really happening behind the scenes to society, and why are we all at each other's throats, and why are we fighting with our families? So long story short, I had to do a lot of inner work on myself. I had to do a lot of healing myself. 2020 really kicked off healing my own ancestral trauma and generational wounds that was allowing me to constantly be triggered by the influence of the media. So movies, entertainment, television shows that always depicted, you know, Blacks a certain way. Just the narrative in social media about what it means to be Black, right? And I found myself constantly triggered, like left and right. And I realized that it was really holding me back. And so
when you say triggered, what's that mean? What do you mean by that?
it means that that's a good question, because I think if you don't come from either trauma in your background, or you don't have cultural traumas, like, or you're not really fully connected with cultural trauma, being maybe a minority, or labeled as a minority, let's say. For me, it really took me back to my childhood. So if I see somebody coming on, hi Martin, if I see somebody coming on and saying, you know what, racism does exist in corporations, and at the same time, I actually just experienced people treating me poorly, it's very easy for me to associate both of those things, draw a conclusion, and then completely empower myself into taking the next step of my life based on that perception that the world is somehow headed against me. And I am the first to admit that that has happened at different points in my life, but it really happened this year in 2020 when I saw the video of George Floyd, you know, basically being killed on live video. It's one of those things where you could walk around and you're totally fine. But if there's unhealed trauma underneath the surface, all it takes is one single remembrance. It takes just one news anchor to say, you see, folks, white people are out to get Blacks. And then all of a sudden, my years of trauma says, she just validated my wound.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And so that's kind of what that means. And if you haven't had the, which a lot of Blacks haven't, like, you know, I think it's so easy, especially politics, they lump us all together as if we have one brain, as if we all share the same brain, the same, right? The same life experiences. And it's just not true. And what I want to share is what I did this year was in my deepest pain, because I was so triggered. I opened up a free 3-month intensive with me. And I said, we're going to heal this together. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to come out of it, but we're going to heal it together. It was the most powerful thing I've ever taught in my life. And I had people in there that absolutely hated Trump, and were just as triggered by the events of 2020 with George Floyd, Breonna Taylor, just as triggered, just as angry about the pandemic, furious with Trump. And by the end of these 3 months, we were able to recognize how our traumas were impacting our perspective on life. And it was impacting our ability to actually take in new information that may question old beliefs.
Wow.
Right? And so the way I taught it, by the end of the 3 months, I was ready to interject information that challenged their beliefs. You can't do it at the beginning because people can't hear you, right?
Yep.
I did it after this journey of hearing them, hearing their pains, hearing their wounds, sharing my wounds, right? Because nobody's going to gain your trust if you're not sharing as well.
Right.
And by the end, you should see them now. Like, there's no more lashing out on their feeds. They are happier than ever. And not only that, they have taken the next step to make their dreams, their future dreams for 2021 and beyond, to the next level.
Wow.
So this in itself is really where we're going today, right?
Yep.
And again, the conversation that Ken and I had it sparked out of me standing in my truth. After doing the research that I just shared with you in the background of being in tech for 20 years, uncovering what was actually happening with data ethics, the algorithms, emerging artificial intelligence, and how it's manipulating the way you think so that you come to a conclusion by you thinking you came to that conclusion yourself when you did not. And you cannot understand that unless you take the time, instead of lashing out at me and saying, Sherry, please let me hear more. And then I can explain it to you. And what happened was I called Ken because people from high school that hadn't talked to me for 25 years were absolutely freaking out because I said nothing about a political candidate, but because I said I don't support socialism, I don't support defunding the police, the amount of projection I got was mind blowing. If I can jump in, because the post, you had some massive hate flowing on there. Yeah.
And I remember seeing, and I don't remember exactly how this lady put it, but it was something like, girl, if you've ever driven on a public road or used a park, you're experiencing socialism. I'm like, I thought that's taxes.
Right.
That's socialism? Like that I pay taxes so we can have roads to drive on and parks for my kids to play in. How in God's name did anybody ever come to the conclusion that because of public roads, it's socialism?
That's wow.
Ridiculous.
Or dialing 911, she said.
Or dialing 911. Yeah, that's the other thing. Like, that isn't like, anyway. So
yeah, I'm going to sit with John on this one and go, what? Right?
Yeah,
Where did this
someone's
come
not
in?
educated? It's just,
I don't know where that comes from.
Yeah.
Right? Somebody told me I should feel this way.
Yeah.
Right?
exactly.
So,
Yeah.
I'm worried
I
about the
love
people
your
that heard
story.
just that segment and jumped off now.
Yeah.
So, and Eric Cornelius is thrown out there. He misses Robbie's oscillating cam. It's gonna be there, bro. Don't
All I
think
gotta
it's
do is
different.
move around a little
Yes.
bit.
Yes.
I love your
So,
story, Sherry. Sherry, I connect with that ancestral trauma that we don't really talk about.
Yeah.
And that's a powerful statement because Ken knows I went through something similar, going through the process of forgiving my father in my past. So in the midst of forgiving my father and my past and working through those emotions, I was also able to deal with my ancestral traumas as well. And even though they were very little on the ancestral side, but I think you hit it right out the park with that.
Right. I agree. And so again, as the white guy, I can't talk about it. It's just the way it goes. So I'll keep it real today, right? So again, we all have jacked up family. We all have stuff that has happened to our family, and we have passed it down from child to child to child and put our grief and our drama onto the children. Okay.
Yeah.
And then again, they're left with trying to deal with it without all of the extent that we have and we've been taught to do. But like I run a class with Dr. Bill Janishak, and we do a class called Unpacking, where we actually go in and we teach you how to let go of that. And it's so important. Like I had said earlier when Cherie was saying that, I was like, unpacking it right away, unhooking that trailer. Martin, it's a lie. It's one of the filters on this, right? Because I'll tell you straight up, it ain't real. But when you look at this, right, and I am a clown, I'm gonna make it. We're gonna laugh today because there's a lot of stuff that's gonna be painful. We're gonna go through some stuff, and we're gonna say stuff that it goes through. Yeah. But as my brother says too, right? Speaking of jacked up family. What's up? Yeah, but we went through, and again, everybody's going to say you can't have a jacked up family because I don't get to talk on this level, right? Because of the narrative that we've been pushed, and you guys have to hate me, and I have to hate everybody else on the show, and what have you. But I'm going to tell you right now, we have the ability to let go of the crap, but only when you're ready to no longer define yourself by the crap.
Well, yeah. You know, I want Sherry to finish. I interrupted her. I didn't mean to. I did mean to, but she, you know, because she had a massive shift that occurred because of all this, and I kind of want her to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah,
you have 2 minutes. Oh wait, that was the debates. I'm sorry. No. Yes.
Yes, we should have run this just like the debate.
Oh yeah, I'm so looking for a fly to put on my hair right now. Can we edit that in later, Ken? With the
yes. Yeah, you got it, dude. It's landing right on your forehead.
We forgot those props. Yeah. No, but I mean, my whole point in sharing about at least that course is I welcomed in women from all different backgrounds. And so we each had different cultural wounds to heal through. So it's not like I took a group of, we all have the same background. We all have completely different backgrounds, socioeconomic, educational, cultural. And the biggest thing that we came out of this is we really identified, we walked kind of through the history of chattel slavery, and what happened after slaves were freed. And we really broke down how the economic status of so many Black Americans came to be. But what I didn't do is I didn't make it political. So there definitely was this gap where I left these questions out. And I basically opened up room for them to do their own resource and really their own research and really find out how did we go from Jim Crow laws to, so many Black men being incarcerated to Black Americans ending up on welfare. How did that happen? Yeah. Because there's this gap between when slaves were free and why so many Black men are incarcerated and so many Black Americans are on welfare. Like, there's this gap. And I think people are so afraid to go there, to actually find out, like, what party really got us stuck there. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, she's going there.
It's true.
Watch
Keep
it
going.
Watch
Don't
it.
stop now. You already bit it off. Go ahead, finish.
I'm looking at our notes, and you're about 3 minutes early on that bury the show in hate. Yeah. So,
You keep going, you ain't gonna be black no more.
yes. Jump on over, Sherry. Come sit by me. You know it.
So, like I said, I kept that part open, and it's really up to other people to do the research to find out what actually happened. But more than that is I merged this course with not just healing from our trauma, but into self-care. So what do I need to do as a woman, a man, a Black woman? What do I really need to thrive in life? Is it the hatred? Is it surrounding myself by people that remind me every day of my skin color and how different I am and how angry I should be? Is that how I thrive? And that's when I started sharing with the ladies. I said, I did not heal from my deathbed to recovery, to 5 years on a bionic heart, to heart transplant, recovering from that, and then building this brand that impacts millions. I didn't do that by surrounding myself by people who were constantly in victimhood.
True.
Do you know what I'm saying? And so
John's like, yeah.
I'm just listening. I agree with you 100%. I know.
So when I talk about what do Black lives need, right? That's a simple question. What do we need actually to thrive, to take care of ourselves, to rise out of poverty, to get out of the jails, to get our family structures back together? What do Black families need? That was the core question that I had everybody keep in mind at the end of the day. And my biggest breakthrough was really understanding that they need exactly what I needed to get myself out of the worst tragedy that I had ever experienced in my entire life. It's nothing more difficult than that. It's not more complicated than that. We need to be able to support one another so we can rise up, give back to our communities, rise up some more, and continue this generationally. And continue to get out there and do the same experiment I did with these ladies and actually go out into the Black communities, do this work, get them to the same place of recognizing that victimhood is not what gets you out of really dark times.
Amen.
Wow.
Yeah.
True.
Amen.
Right? And that was my awakening. And so when people think that my post was out of left field or, hold up, she's a Trump supporter now. Where I stand has nothing to do with Trump, has nothing to do with who's the president of the United States. It has to do with me, my family, and the future generations. Right?
100%.
Absolutely.
Yep.
If we can each do our part and keep that in mind, because your hatred on social media, you're thinking that you are supporting someone with dark skin like me with your perpetual reinforcement of how different I am from everybody else only makes me at night feel bad about myself. That's all it's doing. You are not an ally if I go to bed at night and I feel bad about myself. Period. And I think really more people need to hear this because I'm done. I did the work with others and I proved that it works. Because all of these ladies are now exploring what they want to create for their lives and how it can now benefit Black lives.
Wow.
And that's the end of the show. it was nice meeting with you guys. I will see you later.
I totally expect Robbie's camera to move and Sheree just drop the mic and walk off the screen. Let's just go. Just do it. Just walk up and go, yep. And Robbie, you're going to do this.
I'll do this.
There you go.
You know what? Hey. John Dawson, I'd love to hear what John's got to say about this too. John has 460,000 followers on TikTok.
Amazing.
He's the biggest celebrity in the room, and
That is not true.
And obviously,
Definitely not
smart, he's just sitting there being quiet.
I do have 140 people, John. Just so
There
you want to know.
there you go.
Who else is in the room?
I had 140 at some point.
Yeah.
Man, my point of view, I was kind of taking mental notes as you went through that, but I mean, that's what I've been preaching for months now. That's what I've been living for years. Playing football, you get to join people in all walks of life, all different races, with very high risk opportunity, where you're fighting to be better than the person next to you, regardless of race. So growing up with that, like this person's from the cut, this person's from the suburbs, this person's black, this person's white, regardless of how that gets shuffled, you see that where it's just the racism presents itself. The black kid doesn't practice, does drugs, drinks on the weekend, and the coach doesn't let him play. And the black or the white kid's like, well, whatever. The coach just doesn't like me. And the black kid does the exact same thing, and it's the coach is racist. So you take the same exact situations, like, no, you both don't pay attention, you both don't show up on time, you both don't perform. It's not one's racist, one's disliked. It's you both just aren't performing the way you should be. So you can see how it's ingrained in the black community that if a negative thing happens to you, it's race, you know, and that's what a lot of these political agendas are trying to push on us, is that no, you don't understand. Like, you are oppressed. Like you had said, you talked to all the people that you were encouraging to just look at what's happening in the world and understand that the narrative that's supposedly helping you is exactly what's trapping you and telling you that everyone that disagrees with you is racist, rather than people disagree with people. So I think it's. I've said that many times. I've preached it many times. You look at the people that have helped the black community over the years, have been the people preaching racism. And I made a video about it yesterday, talking about how everybody claims that Trump's the racist and he's talking about racism and he's trying to divide. And then you're like, wait a minute, I haven't heard Trump talk about racist. It's the Democrats that are pushing black people to vote for them that are talking about racism the most. And I'm not discounting anybody that's voting any specific way, but it's like, look at who's really talking about racism, who's putting it in the spotlight over and over again, who's putting black people in these TV shows, in the media, in the news, in a negative light, and then pinning the police against them, and then claiming the police are racist. It's like this perfect, fight that they're just putting together. And I think you nailed it. I think you sitting down and just talking, and everybody knows that I go by much love, and that's listening to understand, not just listening to respond. We're in this generation and this life where we listen until it's our turn to interject, but we don't listen to understand what they're saying. Like, okay, they're talking. You're formulating what you're going to say next instead of receiving what they're saying. And that's what I always put out on all my content. Is listen to understand first, and then formulate your response after you've taken into account what that person has said. And we have lost complete sight of that. And that's why Joe and Ken can sit here and make jokes and be funny. And if we were still in that mindset of oppression, we would have to, by association of the black community, be mad at you for being funny about race, because we haven't let that go. We haven't forgiven our systemic racist past that is so, current to us. We have to feel targeted. So I think that's my biggest thing, is just we need to let go of being this victimhood mentality, this everything's a target us, everything's, racist, and realize that opportunity is created and you take advantage of what you take advantage of, regardless of your color, regardless of your race, regardless of your upbringing, to be honest.
But let me ask a question, because and this is somewhat rhetorical, but I just want to get feedback. But racism does exist.
Yeah. It does,
Of
but
course
it's not to the magnitude that we try to portray it. I mean, it's the same thing. The coronavirus does exist. It's not fake. It's real. But like, you got to look at the disproportionate portrayal of these things, and it could be anywhere from the coronavirus to racism to politics. I mean, they like to make everything seem like it is make or break, live or die, black or white. And it's just not the case. I mean, it's 100% parting the Red Sea. You want one person on this side, one person on this side, and then you control both of them separately, and you get your whatever it is you want.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so true. Yeah, it's so true, you guys. And I really also want to point out, just to kind of piggyback on what John's just said. One of the things that I told Ken was that there was a few weeks this summer where I could not leave my house because the media and everybody online, I mean, I laugh now, but the media and everyone online made me so terrified of my town, right, which is mostly white, and my town is actually probably the majority Trump supporters, I would think. And this is the same town I've been living in for like years, okay? And I told Ken that I was so terrified to step outside my front door. So I locked myself in my room until I finally heard somebody on a YouTube video say, I want you to peek outside your window. Are the streets burning?
Right.
Is somebody walking around with a gun? And it took him to snap me out because the media started making me think that I had to fear the white members of my family, the white neighbors right outside my door, the white cars that drive by. I was afraid to go to the park because there's white people there. And I said to Ken, what's so ridiculous is I've driven to NASCAR events by myself because I love NASCAR. I love the NHRA.
Wow.
And I love fast cars. And I feel so comfortable going to a NASCAR race by myself. And for a few weeks this summer, I was literally terrified of white people.
Wow.
I'd also like to point out I've never been to NASCAR. I just want to get that out.
Me either. Give us your black
straight,
card. Let's
left.
go. Let's go. You can't like things that are black.
Go straight,
Sorry.
turn left, go straight, turn. I don't get it at
So
all.
fun. It's so fun. I don't know if it's because I had a near-death experience.
And look, Martin Matthews says they also want us to be afraid of police officers who are white.
Absolutely.
Well, can I want to ask Robbie something, because I just duetted one of your videos, man, from the other day where you said if I was someone who wanted to control people. Remember that video that you made? Like, this is what I would do.
Yes, sir.
Because when I saw that, you put that into these words where I was just like, because that's what I say all the time, but it's really hard to formulate that correctly. And I thought you put it perfectly of exactly what this master manipulation really is, like how it's happening.
That's what this is how I see it. I study psychology, doing a lot of business. I have to use my mind a lot. And I thought about it the other day. I said, look, if I wanted to control people, here's what I do. If I wanted to keep people down, a group of people, I would pretend as if I wanted to help those people. I would give them handouts. And because those people have a history of struggling, they would automatically assume that I'm trying to really, really help them, that I'm for them. But they don't understand that I'm only giving them crumbs because I really want to keep them where they are. Because if they somehow get educated to the point where they can start experiencing wealth and prosperity in this country, they become a threat to me and my posse. And once they have buying power like that, then I can no longer control them and I can no longer capitalize off of them.
Yes.
And then let's just imagine you have someone who really is trying to help a group of people, not just one group of people, but the entire population of the United States. You got somebody that's trying to really help everybody experience prosperity. All right. And if I was the leader that have oppressed certain people the entire time, I would convince my people that the person that's trying to raise everybody up is actually a racist. When in fact, I'm the real racist, but you think I'm not because I'm giving you crumbs. And this is what I call the mind structure of enabling people.
Yeah.
You have people who won't get jobs or make more money because they're afraid of losing that little bit of money that the government is giving them.
Yes.
You
I
got
need a
people
mic
who-
to drop. I need a mic to drop.
You got people who are like, I've literally anybody who knows me will tell you that I love talking to people about how to make money, particularly on the internet. I have shared time after time and time again, I've shared so many ways that people can capitalize. And you know what I hear a lot of times? Well, how much money I'm gonna make? Because if I make too much money, they're gonna stop my check from coming.
Mm.
Yes.
I'm
I've
giving
heard that
you
a
enough.
thousand
I'm
times.
giving you enough. I'm giving
What?
you enough game. I'm giving you enough game right now that can cause you to make so much money that you can just give other people checks if you want to. And you worried
Yeah.
about losing the government's checks because you think that's a guarantee. That's what I
Because it's
call
easy.
it's easy. And so when I speak like that, people can't hear it. It sounds like I'm down talking them. But what I'm
Yeah.
saying is I come from the slums. And I feel like I'm not about to bite my tongue because I come from it. I'm not on the outside looking in, judging it. I was in it. I know how it goes. I know how some people strategize their life off of trying to get something free from the government. That's an end game for a lot of people. And I'm not saying everybody is, but you have a system that supports that type of mindset. So much so that that system will say, you know what? If you don't get married, I'll give you X amount of dollars a month.
Facts.
If you have a couple more kids, I'll give you a little bit more money a month. But if I come over here and I catch a man here, I'm going to cut that check off. And so when I started looking at it,
Wow.
I said, hold up, something's not right. Because a system so clever as that will cause people to believe that this system is actually for them, right?
Yeah.
Because it's why I don't take care of people in my family. Nobody. I try to teach everybody to make money because I don't want to enable you. If something happens to Robbie, what are you going to do now?
Right.
What are you going to do?
Yeah.
So people have this mindset that, oh, if you don't just give me something, you don't care about me. And so this is what I feel like our president doing. He's not pandering just to a group of people anymore. Like, we come from a party of people who have been pandered to forever, right? And now we have somebody in office, I believe, that's trying to wake us up. Get up off the couch. Let's go. I understand if you're disabled, but if you're not really disabled and you're just sitting there collecting a check, it's time to go. If you can't move your body, move your mind, because we live in a world right now where you can use your mind to make as much money as you want to make and pull yourself out of anything. I'm a ninth grade high school dropout. And this is what I tell people. I did that strategically just to make my path a little bit harder so I can still succeed and look back and say, look, you ain't got no excuse. I did that strategically.
That's right.
And so I'm like, look,
I want no advantage. I want no advantage.
No, I don't want any advantage. I'm gonna make it real hard on myself. And when this and so that's what I'm saying. And so when I've been called every name under the book, the last couple of months, I came out, I started supporting our president. I never really was patriotic before. I appreciated this country, but I never was really patriotic. I got to give a shout out to John, because when I got on TikTok, I saw John's video. I'm strolling on TikTok one day and I see John and he's just going. And I'm like, I said, hold up, I got to go back. What is this? Did he just say what I think he said? I sent him a message immediately. I'm like, look, you got to be friends, like right now. so when I saw
at the
him,
time, Robbie had the same hairdo.
I had the same hairdo.
He had to change it from the
As
John
John.
Dawson look. 'Cause
had
John
to cut it off.
So that's what I'm saying. Like we don't need. And when I say we, I'm just talking about Americans right now. Americans, like I'm just tired of talking about the black thing or the white thing. Like we're Americans.
That's right.
Americans, we don't need no big government giving us nothing, because when they give us something, what are we losing in return for that? Right now, you got people shutting down their businesses, wearing masks. What are you losing in replace of the sense of false security? What are you losing? Just think about what are we losing? And now it's so strategic. Excuse me if I'm talking too much, but now it's so strategic that they criticized the man saying that he didn't do a good job with COVID. Then they told him he shouldn't shut the country down. And then when he shut the country down, they criticized him about that. Now he's saying open up. And they're like, no, we're not going to open up. Well, what do you want me to do? And how are you going to blame me for the worst economy in the world? How are you going to blame me for the worst economy when I didn't even create the disease? It's like, it's not like he created the disease.
You're forgetting that they say that he intentionally
China flu.
targeted
China.
the China virus. He because now they're blaming that he's racist because it targets minorities more than white people. So it's like, well, by the way,
Oh my God.
So let me ask you this: if you're riding in a truck, right? If you're in China right now, and you're riding in a vehicle, and they're like, "What kind of vehicle is that?" And you're like, "Oh, it's an American vehicle." Is that racist? No, it's not. He's just saying that the vehicle is from America. Well, the virus is from China. Like we didn't do it, you know. And so I was really, really nervous about coming out. But when I saw John, I was like, "Look, John's on it."
I told you though, the hate's real though. I was doing it, but the people resent you. I mean, it's insane. And I one of my first videos was just calling BLM out of just like, look, guys, look around. Like, and I would actually, and I don't want to put Ken or Joe on the spot here, but I've made many videos being like, what racism has been fixed? Like, I feel like I wasn't born in the 60s, right? So I don't know what it was like then, but I know that it's the worst it's ever been since I've been alive. I've been alive for 28 years, and racism today in 2020 is worse than it's ever been. I was like, I would rather go back to 2019 where race to me was invisible. I was doing my business. I was walking around. Now you notice race. You notice a person looking at you because they don't know what side of the spectrum you're on. You notice a cop looking at you because they don't know the side of the spectrum you're on. So Ken, Joe, like, do you feel that same? Because I know as me, and I think I've talked to Robbie about this, and he kind of feels the same. Where it's we walk around feeling different because it's like, I got to give an extra smile to this white person because I don't know if they think I'm about to jump them, punch them in the face, and say bow to me, or I'm gonna, give them a high five and say Trump 2020. Like no one knows where people are now, and especially if you're black, they're like, it's like walking around with these landmines.
Can't say we're Trump either. Most of us can't.
No one
say,
can.
Hey,
No one
Trump,
can.
right?
No.
Yeah,
you cannot say you're with Trump at all.
I will tell you that I sat down and I was sitting the other day and it hit me. I said, we have turned the country into Bloods and Crips.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to come after you for the color you represent, red and blue.
Yeah.
Right. I look at it and go, I can't walk out. If I put a Trump hat on, oh my goodness, look at me putting a Trump hat on.
And he's in California. It's
I'm
even
in
worse.
California where, I am red in a blue state. It kills me to sit out here. But it's when I look at it, I say, again, when it comes down, am I allowed to have a say in the conversation? Typically, no. The answer isn't there. I don't stay quiet, but it is me to sit back.
We're just a bunch of outcasts.
Right.
If you Black Lives Matter, but if you vote for Trump, it doesn't matter.
Right. When I look at this screen and I look at all of us on here, this is what scares the hell out of people.
Oh, it is.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Absolutely.
You look at this and go, wow, we're having an intelligent discussion.
Yep.
Right.
And not one of us is attacking the other one. And Joe's in the corner making jokes about everything like it ain't real. But again, it's real and it's out there. But again, you let the steam off every once in a while that comes up. But I will tell you, I had my dry cleaner drops off because he lives by me. So he'll drop off my dry cleaning. Older gentleman from India. And he walked up to me and we were talking. He goes, "Do you have a problem with this?" And I was like, I look up, I'm like, "My American flag?" Because we were standing underneath the American flag. And I was like, do I have a problem with my own flag? He goes, no, your neighbors have a problem with your flag.
That's
And I was like,
unbelievable.
and I said, do my neighbors here in America have a problem with me waving an American flag? And he goes, "Well, that means Trump. You know that."
Yeah.
And I said, understand, being proud of where you live and where you're from is celebrated every place else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Every place
Even
else.
after people
Even when
leave.
you come to America. You come
Yeah.
to America and you still tell
Yeah.
us how great it was where you were. Right. And I'm like, but I'm not allowed to
Yep.
say, "Hey, I love this." I told him, you know what? I go one step further. I said, on the side of my house right here, I have the blue line flag that's hanging there that says I support law enforcement too. I'm not about hating. I'm not about going after somebody. But his answer was, "Well, I understand that, but aren't you afraid of your property being damaged?" And I'm like,
Yes.
wow, are we so in a point where I have to go vandalize your house because you put an American flag outside?
I think
That scares me to death,
That-
people.
when
That's
I-
the exact reason I actually don't have that in front of my house. To be honest, I never
That's-
thought
I
I would
don't
do
either.
that, but
That's my-
I-
same
I-
here.
Well, I
don't.
got an American flag. I have the American
yeah.
flag. but
See, I would do an American flag, but I won't put Trump signs. I won't put a Trump
nope.
flag.
I live on top
just
of a
because
freaking mountain. It won't do
like
it.
that. The fact that it's even a thought.
He's like, I can see him coming.
I can see everybody coming.
You know,
I still won't do it. I'm like, my mailman might not like.
right.
Yeah, mail's gonna
We
start
gotta
going
think.
missing.
Right.
I think you know. I remember when I start recently when I started seeing all the Black Lives Matter and then the freaking riots, and I was like, man, I mean, look, Black Lives Matter, and I mean they do, but why don't all lives matter? Like I don't understand where the disconnect is. We're all
Well,
human
because
beings.
you have to
It's
go
the
back to
response.
the narrative that Sherry was talking about.
Yeah.
You know, we feel like we have been under target since the beginning of time.
Right.
That's our story. We're taught that every February, every child that goes to public school will be taught that narrative.
Yeah.
And we walk out. I remember the day I first heard that. We were all just kids, right? I'm walking out of whatever class it was after Black History Month, and I'm for the first time I'm looking at like, dang, your parents did that to my ancestors, you know, like your ancestors did that to my ancestors. What the
You asshole! What you doing?
seriously? It made you look at people
Right.
differently. It's like,
You ass-
My great granddaddy knew your great granddaddy. Yeah,
exactly. It's like,
he ate went to you. Yeah.
but fortunately, my mother always taught us. My mother, it was just no question. It was like my mother always taught us people are just people. We had everybody at our house. You know, my mother has been a very good, powerful teacher. You know, she taught us that people were just people. But that's the reason why it's singled out now. Black Lives Matter, because we feel like we've always been under pressure.
Right.
You know, a
You know,
target.
Greg Walker posted and this is the part where it's like when you're a white dude in America, at least from my perspective, like it literally feels like, man, if I
Don't speak
say
for me, Ken.
I'm
speak to
saying
me.
from my
Okay.
if I say the wrong thing, man, does that mean that all of a sudden everybody's going to think I'm a racist because you said? And Sherry and I've talked about this. I remember, Sherry, I was sitting at a gas station in Alabama driving home from freaking Florida with my family. They were all inside. You and I were on the phone talking, and I was like, I don't even know if I'm saying if I say the wrong thing, am I a racist? I don't know. But Greg Walker says he quoted LBJ, President LBJ, and what LBJ said. And I'm going to pop it up on the screen. He started out, but John saying no.
No, go
No?
for it. No, go for it.
Oh,
no, I'm
He's
playing.
just
I'm
saying
playing.
LBJ
Look,
ain't a fan.
This
Yeah,
is what LBJ said. A Democratic president said this right here, right there, and he said, "I'll have them voting for the Democratic for the next 200 years."
So that was the exact time that single parented homes skyrocketed. Like I think it was 68, because basically they said, look, we're going to give you freedom, we're going to give you the ability to vote, but the Democrats are going to give you handouts. They didn't phrase it that way, but we're going to basically take care of you. I mean, it's the same gang mentality. It's like, hey, you know, we're gonna give you X, Y, and Z, but in order for you to keep receiving that, you got to do this, this, and this. You got to vote for us. And as soon as you stop voting for us, guess what? We remove that because the Republicans aren't going to give that to you. So they literally bought the vote by saying, here's your freedom, but here, and then they literally just took it right back with the other hand saying, basically, this is what you have to do to receive these handouts. And by the way, remove the male figure from the home and you can get a little bit more. And then it basically builds a generation and a path of not being able to be self-sustainable. And that's what we're looking at right now, where everybody's like, well, there's no opportunity. We can't see opportunity. Where's the opportunity? I'm like, you haven't been looking because you've been receiving it, or you've been receiving handouts from some other source. So you don't want to teach a man to fish. You just want to give him the fish. And then when you take that fish away, say Trump, who's making it more difficult to get food stamps and EBT and all that stuff, people think that's a negative thing when really he's making it equally difficult to get handouts versus go out and achieve something for yourself. But I mean, if I can go get $600 by just applying and sending some papers in online, but it's going to take me 3 months to apply and make a resume and get jobs, what choice am I going to make? So it just makes no sense. It's completely enabling. And from 68 on, you see the Black community tank or skyrocket with single family homes and tank with dual parent homes. And that's been the demise of the Black community since then, which is interesting because that's when the Civil Rights Act has been making so many strides, which doesn't add up. But it's one of those things where it's chains in a different form. They take them off one leg and they put them on a different one.
Daggone, man. That is one hell of a way to put it.
And that
he can't drop the mic because it's attached. You can see it right there.
Sherry, what?
yeah, I mean, and that's what irritates me so much when people are so shocked that you can be Black and no longer vote Democrat. It makes no sense. Like if you actually took a few minutes of time to, excuse me, research politics and how we got into the position we are in today, it would make sense. So the bullying is really, it shows me that you actually haven't done any research.
Do people call you ignorant and like uneducated? I get that all the time, every day. And I'm like, so I'm being a Trump supporter because it's fun.
Right.
I'm getting a big upside from this.
Yeah, this is real fun for me, guys.
Right.
I get called a coon at least twice a day.
Wow. Oh my
God! What is even that? What is that? I mean, I know what it is, but like, how does
I looked it up? You're basically a sellout. You're selling your people to get freedom, but then you get executed after. That's where it comes
America. It's
anyway, I didn't mean to cut off.
Does a raccoon have those traits? Like, does a raccoon is like, I'm going to sell out my other raccoon? You know, like I don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't even think other people I mean, again, this is the research I did this summer, and I really understood that no one actually is doing any research. I mean, that's really what it boils down to. And so a lot of the hate that I got on my post, and I'm newly kind of coming out, so I have yet to be called really any names. I think anybody that knows me will probably be pretty afraid to call that to my face unless they just are a troll and don't know me. So I'm sure it's going to come. But
I'm typing it right now. Right now. Yeah.
I mean, I am so 100% aligned in my truth and my stance right now. I mean, I've never felt happier. I don't know how to explain this, but I feel like this has been a missing piece my whole life.
That is amazing.
I agree.
Do you know what
I
I'm saying?
agree.
It's been the missing
It's so
piece.
true. I ask people that all the time. I'm like, find an oppressed, sad Black Republican, Black conservative.
Right.
Find it. And I'm not saying the path to happiness is Republican or conservative.
No,
I'm
no,
just
it's
saying,
not.
when do you see someone who's conservative value, which is basically I'm going to go out and achieve my dreams for myself? When do you ever see
No
them sitting
matter
there like,
what
oh,
adversity.
darn, the system got me again? You don't see it because they don't let the system dictate how their life moves.
Exactly.
Wow.
Exactly.
People have been asking me what I'm gonna do. First of all, I'm an independent. You know, I'm an independent. If I don't care what party it is, I vote for policies and not
Yes.
parties.
Not personality.
Exactly.
Yeah, not personality either. I would I want to
If
hang out with.
we're gonna be real, Robbie. Trump ain't got that personality.
He doesn't.
You know,
He does
honestly,
not.
I,
No
honestly,
manner.
he's like a grandfather. You know what I mean? He's gonna.
It doesn't know
He's
when to
not
be
trying to-
quiet and just stop.
No,
Yeah,
his
he's gonna
answer
tell you
is,
what you want to hear.
listen,
You know.
I don't
He's
have
gonna
time
tell
to
you the real
explain it to
deal.
you. Here it is. Right.
But if somebody from the Democratic Party or any party stood for something that, like, I haven't heard one thing
Not one.
yet that would interest me. But if somebody came out with something that sounded good, I would vote for those policies, not that party, those policies, and that's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And
But what about? I mean, and I fell victim to this as well. Obama had some things that sounded great, and I could listen to that man talk all day and night. But
Amen.
true,
I mean, we all know where that ended up. So
yeah,
for me, I feel like Democrat.
Yeah.
Like I don't think Democrat is what it was before. Like I really truly like I used to. I'm basically I was in the middle up until probably about I don't know 8-10 months ago. I was like. I just go one side or the other, whichever serves me, my family, and what I'm trying to achieve best. And then I started looking at Democrats, as they still call them, and I'm like, this isn't best for anybody. This is purely an agenda that seems like it's more world like focused than actual America. It's like you have my and my people in America's interest like third place. So like at that point, I was like, this isn't Democrat. This is something complete. This is a different beast.
Yeah.
So that's why
It is.
I started
It's
to use
like
the
a
word
new world. Like they're trying to get it in order.
NWO, yeah.
You can't say it out loud because Zuckerberg.
Yeah, that's what
it's
NWO.
the Illuminati.
I think I had a conversation today, and this is a woman who's in the Republican Party, but she said like me, I have a lot of friends who are in the Democratic Party, so I'm Switzerland, man. I'm just gonna stay in the middle.
So do we. We're
I'm
black.
exactly the same. I'm just gonna vote on issues, and that's it. But this woman said the Democratic Party is no longer the Democratic Party. They do not realize that the not socialist. What's after socialist? What's next?
Communist.
The Communist Party has snuck in and taken over the Democratic Party, and they don't even realize it's happened.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Well, think about this. If you don't have anything, communism sounds great, right? But if you have something going for yourself, even if you don't have nothing, but you really believe in your ability to create something for yourself, communism sounds like a horrible idea.
Yeah.
And so I think, in 2008, I voted for Obama in 2008. My mindset was different at that time. And, I valued different things at that time. But once I started to really work on myself and believe in myself and say, you know what, no matter what, like I can get this. Like if he can do it, I can do it.
Right.
It's hard to subscribe to a tribal mentality when you're thinking like that.
Yeah.
Because it empowers you. And but yeah, I totally agree with you guys. I'm just happy to be in a room filled with people who are excited about America instead of complaining.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think it's the same thing of go ahead, Joe.
No, brother, go on.
I was just gonna say I have a lot of conversations, and anybody that follows me on TikTok sees that of like opposing sides, and I'm talking about, I made a video, someone saying, if you vote for Trump, you're racist. I've had people say, anybody who votes for Trump, is a pedophile all these different things. And before I attack them, I just, I have the same mindset, much love. Like, why do you think that? Let me explain to you how I think, and I would love to hear how you think. And 9 times out of 10, they're at the end of the conversation, no, they don't see the same, way as me, but they understand. It's like, oh, wow, like I didn't look at the manipulation that was happening. I didn't look at the actual facts of what's going on, because everybody, and the thing is, I can't even blame the individual. People like to get mad at Democrats that really love this policy or whatever. And then you look at them and you're like, well, you're an idiot. But you don't realize the consumption of this mainstream media and this mainstream social media of what things are. And it's not someone's day job to dig into it. They're trusting these sources to tell them the truth. And they're eating it up and they're regurgitating it to anybody that walks by. So I feel like the biggest thing is, regardless of anybody's viewpoint, like Robbie said, being able to sit here with people that can have an intelligent conversation. For anybody who's Democrat, I feel the same way about opposing views. I have some of my friends that I've never met on social media have opposing views, but we have these conversations to hash it out. And that's the Democratic Party. That's the party that's willing to, hey, let's find out what's best. I don't agree with you on this. I don't agree with you on that, but we're both fighting for what's best for us. Whereas this communist, far leftist, AOC ran, just ridiculous university brainwashed children mindset is like, no, I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. Blah, 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 blah. And you're just like, oh my gosh, like, you want to run my country? I don't think so.
Right. And that's the thing. It's like, I totally get that. And, I say it all the time, like, wow, thank God my eyes opened up and I did the work. I did 2 things. I did the research, right? I did the research long enough, but most importantly, on top of the research, I healed the inner trauma that was feeding off of the media lies. So those were 2 powerful things. And it didn't take me that long this year, but I think just those 2 things are enough to get you thinking straight and clearly again, and really understanding what is that party saying, and why are the leaders of BLM, why are they so into Marxism? Can you tell me more about Marxism? Let me read the Marxist manifesto. Let me see what it says first, before I just jump into saying, no, Biden's not socialism. I don't know where you got that from. That's just Trump's, media, or the GOP's media talking points. But the thing is, we're not just going off of talking points. We are actually getting curious, right? I always say the first step in understanding life or what's happening to you is to get curious. Make it a game. One of the most powerful things I learned being in the field of data ethics, which, like I said, it's a massive field. It's not just about, okay, this tech company has your birthday. It's much more than that. It's about how we utilize trillions, gazillions, of data points over 10, 20 years. And then all of a sudden we've got the power with artificial intelligence to actually take all of those data points and mix them in a big machine and actually create new ways of making people think. I mean, this is the power of artificial intelligence. So, I am just as vocal in the tech space, and a lot of times they're trying to muzzle me. Why? Because I'm the one that's like, before you launch that project, before you launch that app, I'd like to sit and talk about data ethics with you, right? So it doesn't matter whether I'm talking in politics, I'm talking at a near-death experience summit, it doesn't matter if I'm talking here. I am always going to stand up for the truth. I'm always going to get right and get curious. Yep. And if you really just ask yourself, like we're talking about how the Democratic Party has changed. It has changed dramatically. It is not the same party. It is not the same party that I used to be a part of. Okay, like this is not the old Democrat. This is, we say far left. Excuse me. This is way far left, and it's so far left. It's so far left that you, as an American, have to really take full responsibility to say, why is somebody I trust, like Sherry, why is she all of a sudden not provided? Like, can I at least maybe do some research on my own
Right.
to see why somebody who literally died, went to the afterlife, and came back doesn't want to vote for Biden? Right?
Right.
Like, there's something.
That's so
think,
simple
Sherry,
when
you're-
you say that, though.
Your slogan
very-
should be, I'd rather die than vote for Biden. That's what I'm getting right now. We're getting this, and you put that out there. Hey, I already did it once. I'll do it again.
I'll do it again, and I ain't scared. You know,
That's true.
Sherry, I told you guys she's smart,
Very.
but you
It's-
know, I think the best part about what you said is you did your own research, and I think you did it from a somewhat neutral standpoint. Like, you used to be, okay, I'm a Democrat. This is it. I'm voting Democrat, period. I go down the card, Democrat, and that's who I'm voting for. And then you had this some sort of an epiphany where you're like, wait a minute, it's not adding up. It's just not adding up. It's
Well,
something
you
you
can't-
told
can't
me,
research why
something
does Trump
doesn't feel
suck.
right. Hey,
Yeah.
I'm not done with my 2
No,
minutes.
you're done. You're
Stop
done.
it, Joe.
Yeah.
Ironically, your name is Joe. Ah.
Well, I'm not slurring. Yeah. So, but let's talk about the hairs on my legs. No, if you look at it, right, if you go search, why does Trump suck? You're going to get an answer that fits the narrative based on the question
Mhm.
that you're asking. Okay.
Well, that's
And
what's
so-
crazy.
Isn't it though? But
It-
again, you're going to go
it's
search
whatever
and
you
go,
search.
why is it wrong to support this person? That's what I search. And then I get that answer.
Mhm.
And then you
Yeah.
go, see, justified my belief.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
right. I'm right. And you're like, okay, there's a channel out there that has what if Google were a man? Right. And it's a comedian sitting behind a desk and he has to answer all the questions that these weird
Oh
people
man.
right?
One thing people don't think about with Google is that the information that you're getting from Google was written by people who have flaws and
Yeah.
people who have biases. Like Google is
They
not
got
just
bias.
spewing these answers out of thin air. You know,
Right.
Right.
they're
But go,
you know, I
go
could write
type
an
God
article,
is real. Go type God
Exactly.
is fake. You get the same amount of answers on each side.
same amount of answers. I can.
Well, you
know,
can find anything to back up your truth or what you think your truth is. That's why I get nervous when I say research, because I mean, I do it when someone says something to me that I don't know. They're like, "Hey, did you know Trump did this?" And I'm like, "No way." So then I go look for it, find this consistent narrative across all these different platforms, basically being like a rendition of what the negative is. And I'm like, "No, there's got to be something good." And if you dig deep enough, you can find something that's good. And I honestly still feel guilty of it sometimes when I find something positive about Trump. And this is just me trying to be stay as critical thinking as I can. I'm like, am I digging too hard to find truth, or is it really that suppressed? Like, do I have to go through 5 pages of articles to really be like, okay, no, look, it says Trump did something good here. And then I'm starting to be like, well, now am I trying to force too hard my truth on people? But overall, as I do research, you know, I find what I find and it becomes true, but it's not an easy research. It's not a Google click and the first 3 links. It's like you have to dive. And a lot of people are just going to take the top 3 because as a generation, especially my age, 28, we've known, and my entire life, you do a Google search, the top right below the ads, you have 5 links, and usually it's those 5 that are going to be the most credible. And that's just
Hey,
how
John,
my generation thinks.
I can put your company up there if you need that.
Yeah. Hey, we'll have to talk
And
after.
if you have problems selling the lead Robbie gets you, I'm your guy.
I can put you right up there. I will guarantee you that you will stay.
Exactly. That's my point. That's my point. Anybody like you or anybody can make that link stick, and they can make it stay there. So it's
Right.
it's one of those things where the important and true information is sold to the highest bidder. It's about being top rather than being correct. And 90% of the time, if you want to suppress something, man, it's a matter of dollar signs, which is mind blowing to me that we don't have any type of fact checking in the sense of media like NBC, CNN, all these. They can put out whatever they want. There's no consequence. They're not held to any standard. But I post a video on Facebook talking about Corona, and I get fact checked. And I just started my Facebook a week ago.
It's
So
like
it's like,
some subjects you
what?
can't even have an opinion about.
Yeah, but the
On
media
social
can
media.
blast whatever narrative they want, no consequences, and people
There's a
gobble
chance
it up.
this video won't stay up.
I,
True.
I, th-
But
I
but
think-
guys, you want to entertain yourself, right? So like my neighbor has Fox running all day long. It's like the only thing on their TV. I don't have TV.
Yeah,
But we go over to their house for dinner and I'll go, "Hey, we watched this whole thing that happened from Fox going rah rah rah, right? Rah rah red." And then I go, "Can you flip over to CNN so we can see what everybody else is hearing?" And
You're right.
guys, there's nothing that is the same. The same
Nothing.
event that they're doing and they're showing you is completely blown out on both sides
yep.
to be so dialed into what the agenda is, and you can't get to the point of saying, can you just show me the video so I can make my own decision about what happened instead of sound clip things?
And they
Right.
make that difficult. I've tried to look up full speeches of Trump, and I'm like, I gotta find because people ask me, oh, he called Mexicans this, he called this, and I'm like, okay, let me pull up the full clip. I go on YouTube. I've got to dig to find something in context. I gotta dig, and I'm like, how is this full clip not the first one? It's the CNNs, the NBCs, these little snippets with narratives before and narratives after, basically like Trump called whatever, and then they play the short clip, and then it's some narrative after, just kind of corralling you and herding you towards a direction. And I'm like, I get that. That's why I don't like to be, but I'm very accepting of people that are completely blown out of proportion in their mind, because unless you turn it into something that you're willing to spend time on, it's hard to not fall into that narrative because it is potent.
Oh,
Sherry, what were you getting ready to say, Sherry?
no, I was going to say that, I mean, you guys are making a really great point. You're reminding me that I think one of the things that would be helpful is actually sharing with people how we research, because you pointed out something really important where in my post, that kind of triggered some people. I said, I've done years of research, and in listening to you guys, I'm realizing they think I mean just typing in Google.
Right.
Yeah.
So I want to point something out that I shared with the women in that group that I explained, that I walked them through. Towards the end, when I was able to really get them to see and learn both sides, it was kind of like a module that talked about discernment. And first, I kind of explained that discernment is this ability to exercise critical thinking and even challenge your own beliefs. So I learned how to really harness that a lot better in my life once I was in data ethics, because data ethics is that field that you must remain neutral, because it can be so emotional with what you find and what you uncover, that if you get caught up left and right in the emotions of what you uncover, you'll never be able to report accurately. So I thankfully I worked with somebody who was amazing at it, and he really taught me how to remain neutral, unbiased, because that's what the company, the organization stood for, is that we were going to deliver unbiased, independent thinking on data ethics and freedom of speech, right? Data ethics, privacy rights, and freedom of speech, all very complex topics that I think, most people are just starting to understand what it means. Like, okay, like that data is private. Like they're kind of starting to understand what that means, but it goes so much deeper, right? And so in the field of data ethics, you have to remain neutral. I had to train my brain that no matter what I came across, I had to always explore both sides. Okay, so this took about 4 months to get to the level where I was very comfortable understanding, number one, what data ethics really meant and how it impacts society on a cultural level, socioeconomic, sociological level, psychological level, cultural level, all of those things, all those ideologies or whatever you want to call it. That's how powerful data is. Okay, it affects us on all different ways. And today we've broken down how it affects us psychologically. We've broken down how it's affecting us culturally. Like, so you're starting to see the field of data ethics is actually the uncovering of our entire conversation this evening. So when people kind of hear that term and they get afraid of it, or they think it's just about data breaches, it's more than that. Like, I really am about studying the impact of emerging technologies with humanity and what it's actually doing to our culture, to our families, to our people, our friendships, our relationships, our ability to relate with one another, our ability to discern what's best for us and what isn't, our ability to critically think, and our ability for conscious thought, freedom of conscious thought. I have control over what I'm thinking. You no longer have that as long as you're on Facebook every single day. Okay, period. You no longer have freedom of conscious thought as long as you're on Instagram. Okay, you no longer have freedom of conscious thought as long as you're on Twitter. Full stop, period. Okay, everybody understand that. Now that you understand that, in order to research, in order to critically think, in order to discern, what do I actually believe? If what she is saying is true, if AI is that powerful, if media manipulation is that powerful, how do I discern who I am separate from what's going on? Well, number one step in research, you need to disconnect from social media. You need to detox for about a week at least from social media. You need to get out the dopamine and all that. You need to calm your nervous system down. This is step one, you guys, of research. So the next time somebody comes at me and says, I've done my research, this is what I'm going to walk them through. And then I'm going to say, do your research again. So I need you to calm your nervous system down by getting off of these dopamine hit platforms, okay? You allow your body to recalibrate itself so you can think clearly again, okay? And then the next step is you're going to take one piece of information, and now you need to take your beliefs about that information and put them aside on this couch, and you can pick it up, in a month. But you're going to take that one piece of data, and now you're going to go explore the things that are saying it's true. And then you're going to explore the past that say it's not true. And the reason I know that nobody's doing that level of research is, number one, you were never taught how to do it. Number two, like John said earlier, that should have been the role of our leaders to disseminate this information down to the people. Okay? We cannot rely on that anymore. What more evidence do you need? We can't trust people, okay? So it's about, you can't trust me, right? You can't trust me. So this is about giving you your own power back. I want to empower you to do your own research. And this is what it takes. So when you come at somebody like me, somebody like Robbie, somebody like Joe, John, Ken Walls, you confront somebody like Candace Owens, okay? You come at, Kellyanne, or you come at, you better be prepared. Because we've done our research on both sides. And if you haven't done that, then you don't have an argument, you don't know how to debate, and you don't know how to discern what's in your best interest and the best interest of others. So when you come at me saying, well, then that means you don't support LGBTQ, it means that you don't support gays, it means that you don't care about Black lives. Try coming at me with that statement, okay? Like, this is what being an American in 2020 means. You need the courage to turn off the boob tube, okay? That's what my dad used to call it.
Yeah. That is old school. That is old school.
Did you say
boob tube?
Boop tube? Okay.
Boop, boop.
So
Anybody
cool.
under 25 is going to be like, what in the world? is wrong with this?
No idea what that is.
It's just escalated quickly.
And what I'm afraid of is when they go search Google Images, what are they going to find?
Oh, I don't know. Do a
my
demo
God.
test.
Yeah, you're
I
right.
do want to say congratulations to John Dawson to be the only person in the United States that went to page 5 of Google. Okay? Ain't nobody doing that.
I am.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I just learned right now from her that I don't know how to research because I can see how that gives you that unbiased filter of just what you're, because even now, like I have TikTok, I have Facebook, I have Instagram, I have all this stuff in my face. So when I'm searching for something, a lot of the times it's because I know what someone's saying is wrong. So I'm already out to disprove something specifically, or I heard something from someone that I look up to, and now I'm looking to find grounds to help boost whatever that was said. There's always an agenda, whether it's my agenda or not, and I make that clear to all my followers. Like I obviously have a bias, but just know I'm not going to put something out there that I don't fully believe myself. But again, I can believe things that are completely incorrect. So like you said, no one can trust you. No one can trust me. We can give you the base information, but you can't just like we do nowadays. We see a tweet, we see a TikTok, we see a headline, and we run with it like it's truth without doing any type of due diligence. And I think that clearing of the mind, like you said, of just being like kind of honed in on I don't want to say nothing, but honed in on just like this sinner mindset of I'm looking for information, not for proving or disproving something specifically. I want to find the actual truth.
Yes, absolutely. This is the thing. That at the end of the day, this is all about how do I empower myself in life? I mean, really, if we really, this is what it always comes down to.
Yep.
Okay?
Yeah.
And every single one of us has the same desire to live a good life, have peace in our hearts, and we want the best for our families, right? Like that's just what we want. And so you'll see even on the post that I posted this Saturday, I didn't argue with anyone because
Let me fact check that to make sure you posted that.
Yeah, nice. I already feel
Good call,
like there's
good
lies
call.
there.
Good
Right?
job, ref.
I feel there's
All right,
lies.
you're good. You're good. It's on there.
Let me
Continue.
really, it's like you have to want more for yourself to understand even what we're talking about today. If you're coming from a victim mentality and you want the check to come in from the government, believe me, I have a friend right now who's not talking to me. He's not talking to me right now because she said she wants to vote for the candidate that's going to give her the free money. There's nothing more I can say to that. Do you
Can't
understand?
argue with that.
You can't argue with that. And you know what? If that's your level of research, I have to respect that.
And I think that's a huge thing too. As I tell people, I'm like, I don't care what you believe, as long as you have reasons and facts to base off your to basically put behind what you believe. Because I don't care if you're a Democrat and you're saying you want Biden because he's going to do the Green New Deal and that's what you're about. You think that we need to be revamped as a country, as a world. Then by all means, I'm not going to say your idea is wrong, but most people don't even have that much to back up what they believe.
They don't. They
Oh.
really
What about this? And Sherry, you know a little something about this. The spirit. What about the human spirit? What about learning how to like trust your gut? And I think that anybody watching this, anybody on this panel right now, you've had a gut feeling about both sides. What are people really like not in touch with that they're just like, I mean, and I was going to say a minute ago, and I'm going to ask you guys, how do you feel when you see these news clips of the white kids out there marching with BLM and rioting and pulling all their, I mean, I think, and they're going home to the suburbs to their mommy and daddy's basement later on that night. I mean, what do you think? What's it do to you when you see these white kids out here doing that?
Burning. Yeah.
Yeah.
That.
When
Go ahead. Because
What-
I need to compose myself for this question.
so like everybody else, when they heard about the shutdown, you know, I quarantined for about a good week and a half before I was like,
Yeah.
you know what?
Officially 14 days, Robbie. Officially 14 days.
Yeah,
Let's
I was
stick
like,
with the narrative. Come
I'm
on.
done.
Okay.
So I don't have cable. I haven't had cable in 10 years. I don't know. I don't understand any type of person that would pay for cable, but if you do, I understand and I don't judge you. But I do question why. Anyway,
He said,
It's not a
I'm not going to judge
judgment.
you,
What
but
was
I'm
your
going
point
to
again?
judge you.
It's not a judgment question.
but so,
Get your life together.
so I wasn't really paying attention to what was going on. So I came out of the house one day. We went to somewhere, Chick-fil-A or something. And as I'm driving, I see tons of people on the side of the roads. And I'm like, are we having a parade? You know, because I'm out of the loop, you know. And then I saw BLM signs everywhere. And then I get close and I'm like, that's all white people, you know? Like that's crazy, you know? And I felt great about that because I felt like that was people trying to support something that they disagree that they were trying to show that they disagree with what happened to George Floyd and things of that nature. And I think a lot of it is, I think some of it is guilt. I think some of it is, I'm not saying all of it is, but I think some of it is guilt. I think sometimes, you know, the whole conversation of white privilege. Yes, I'm going into it. So the whole notion of white privilege, right? I don't understand what white privilege is. I do understand American privilege because today we all have that privilege, but I feel like some people truly believe that they are better off because they're white. Mm-hmm. And they feel like blacks are worse off because they're black. And so I feel like some people who are out there supporting that are just showing love, like, yo, we want you guys to be equal to us. Mm-hmm. But when I look at it, I'm like, dude, I'm already equal to you. Like, what are you talking about? Mm-hmm. And so what I don't agree with, though, no matter what color the skin is, I don't agree with crime at all on any scale, whether it's vandalizing a building or murdering somebody. I don't care who it's from or who did it. I'm against murder across the board. When I see white on white crime or black on black or black on white or white on black or pink on green, I disagree with it across the board. I'm not only offended by it when it's white on black. I'm not only offended by it then because that's a life. And I feel like life is precious. You had to beat trillions of sperm cells just to get here. And you had to morph into this being with legs and arms and all kind of stuff. And you're just going to take somebody's life by murdering them? So I don't agree with it across the board. But I just feel like I feel hopeful about it when I do see white and blacks out there protesting because I'm all for protesting. I'm against the violence, though, on all levels. I come from violence. I understand what that's like. And it's not good. It's not good. And I don't support anybody that supports tearing down something that somebody else built. You know, whether it doesn't matter if it's a Target or a mom and pop's store, somebody owns that building. Somebody, you know, the person that was murdered, that's somebody's son, somebody's daughter. So I don't agree with violence.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I saw a black woman that was going off about some reporter said, so how do you feel about the rioters busting into the Nike store and the Louis Vuitton store and this woman said that they got insurance. That's their reparation. And I was like, what? How do you go there, man? How do you get into that mindset? Did John leave?
John's
like,
we
I'm
can
out.
just
John got pissed.
people.
No,
people are
I'm here.
clever at-
My camera went off. 1 second. I'll get
People are
you.
clever at justifying anything we want to
Absolutely,
justify.
Robbie. Yep.
Yeah, you're right.
And there is trash regardless of race. I don't know if we understand that at all.
That's right.
And I
There is
love-
trash no matter what.
Listen, and I love for anybody that needs me to spell it out. I love black people. I love white people. I love Americans. I love Chinese. Everybody. Like as a group, there's not one group under the sun I don't like. Now there are some individuals I don't like,
Mhm.
and I
Wow,
think we
you
can
call
all
me out
say
like
that.
that, Robbie? You call me out right here at the show? Why you gotta be like that, man? Why you gotta be like that?
No, I mean in the world. Not on.
Okay,
I love.
good.
I like everybody on this panel right here.
Right.
Yeah.
All my Facebook friends, everybody that's on, I vet every single Facebook friend I have. I have 200-300 people waiting to be friends with me. I only have 400 and some friends. Every friend that I have on Facebook is a friend that's there because I put them there. But that's me letting you into my house. And I hope you feel the same way about me. So like if you're on my Facebook friends page, you're good in my book.
Yay.
If you don't,
I made it. I made it.
I made it today.
you know,
I know
was
there's
there
people
first.
judging you
I
harsh
don't-
right now, Robbie, when they see me in your friends list. Like, ooh, what happened to Robbie? Yeah, Joe's on TikTok throwing out some stuff. Nobody else can
So
see.
hey, should we talk about the video that came out yesterday?
Bombshell news.
The bombshell news. Should we talk about
Yeah, that's crazy.
that?
I was
said-
watching it last night. I was like,
I don't know what you're talking
the
about.
question should be, how long do you want this video to stay up?
Exactly.
I know.
yeah.
Yeah.
When you sent it to me, I started watching. I was like, man. The only
I
thing that gets me with that information is to see more. Like I get into it, I'm like, okay, show it to me. Like let me see the nitty gritty, and then you just I'm like, just put it out for the world because you can't hide behind. As soon as one person gets it, it's out there. So like, I wish they put it out, but I know they didn't.
It's coming out. You know, what I'm curious to know is if the media will cover it. I don't see how you can't not cover it. I
The
mean,
same reason they didn't cover sex trafficking because they don't have to. If they don't, it doesn't exist.
absolutely, and that's my biggest.
I'm gonna kiss my screen right now for John
Right.
Dawson right now. That's all I'm gonna tell you. Y'all gonna wonder. I'm like, yes, thank you for saying that. Yes.
What I know is that I think we can safely say, you know, and I was talking about this with Ken. This is one of those divine moments I feel, honestly, from God. That's literally just last minute, like, here you guys go. And I mean, I get goosebumps right now as well, because I truly believe, and this is what I feel the most from anybody that is not allowing all that media, all that hatred, all the race war talk, anyone that has finally said no and hashtag walked away from that, has what I believe a certain sense of peace right now in their heart, and this like confident knowing that the light will prevail. And
Yeah.
when I saw this video, it's almost like there were like, you know, not literal, but it felt like there was just chills in my body and like tears welling up in my eye, because we've known something was off all along.
Yep.
And it's like, they got it. You know what I mean? Like, they got it. And this is years in the making. And my God, if you are a media outlet and you do not cover this, then everybody should ban mainstream media for the rest of your life. That big.
I think that if this doesn't get covered by mainstream media, I think after Trump wins, because I think there's no question, like I think Trump will win by a landslide. Just putting that out there, and I think
Is that because nobody shows up
he supports this message.
is that because nobody shows up at Biden's, or you know, I mean,
Hey, all four of those people got wheeled in.
Yeah.
Right.
Meeting.
I think I think, man, we need a change with the media in this country. It is being controlled, and if you don't see that, my God, why? How can you not see that they are like? It is literally so far. I don't watch TV. I don't watch the news ever. And then after seeing that video and then digging deeper and seeing a couple of other videos, there's a CIA whistleblower, and I'm not going into what else on that video. Oh my God, because this video won't stay up if I do. I don't think it will. But there is a CIA whistleblower in the and he says he's protected. I'm gonna give him that. But
well, I got asked to referee at my son's soccer game the other day, and I said, I declined because I said I didn't want to be a whistleblower.
Oh my God.
Yes.
I was sitting here like he about to drop some fire, and then that's what
No.
I thought he was gonna bring this metaphor back in, twist it under. Do some
That
cool
was
stuff.
a damn water balloon
Nothing.
he just threw out there.
that was a water balloon.
There ain't no fire. That was a water balloon.
I think that man, we gotta have a shift in this country. But
I think a big thing that that is a dad joke, 100%, worst dad joke ever. But I think the suppression of the media is a lot more powerful than we think. Now, all five of us here, we've dug for ourselves. We've gotten that first bit of information that made us want to find more. A lot of people don't have that. A lot of people are consuming what's fed to them, and they have no urge to dig deeper. And anybody like you and I that are going to talk to them and say, hey, like, check this out, they're going to be like, oh, into conspiracies again, because all the media has to do is shed a little bit of doubt. Be like, well, the person who presented this information actually was whatever. And then next thing you know, they debunk it because CNN has the power to do that, or Facebook has the power to do that. And people, it's a wash. It's gone. So the only way it can really turn into something is if it actually progresses in the courts and something legitimate. People aren't going to take any bit of information like this because it's too serious and it's too important for them to wrap their heads around. I don't mean that in a demeaning way. It's just hard to dig into this stuff. Same thing with the Hillary Clinton situation. It just got dropped because no one cares. No one knows deep enough to really want it to be any further than that. So I'm a little worried because our nation is predominantly controlled by the media, by the mainstream narrative. And if they can cast just a little bit of doubt, this thing could disappear or become quite minor very quickly, and at least long enough to get it past the election, if you know what I mean.
Well, here's the thing. This is why I'm not nervous, because number one, there's so much evidence now that it doesn't need to be in the media, to be honest. It just needs to get to the right people. It's already, we know it's already in Congress. So we know it's already in Congress's hands. We know, the different types of evidence that they have. We know the people that they have that are implicated, and we know that it's going to implicate some of these people that are running for presidency. Okay, so what has to happen at this point, if the evidence that they have, right, is available, it would be going straight into whatever Trump and the DOJ and Congress, whatever steps they have to take to actually do something with this data to get it into the courts. I think we haven't seen anything done before because so much of it can be labeled a conspiracy theory.
Right.
And when it comes to these people that we're talking about that need to be taken down, it's not like you can get 100 little things by, if you think of the power that they have. You need a smoking gun. And this is what Ken and I were talking about on the phone call. I said, this is the smoking gun.
It is. Silver bullet.
It's the
Robbie, I'm going to call
Yeah.
you later so that you and I can say that we had phone calls outside of this call, right? And then we're going to three-way in John, right? So then we can go. Remember, we were talking too prior to this.
Absolutely.
What is
Yep.
it?
Well-
All this name dropping in the middle
Yeah,
of
I
it.
know.
Hey, you guys,
Yeah.
no. You guys have all seen the video. You know what we're
You did
talking
send me the
about.
video. I sent it to I sent it to my friend Scotty,
okay.
and I watched it with my father-in-law as well. My father-in-law just left, but I watched it with him as well, and we were just our eyes were this wide, man. I mean, it was mind-blowing.
And if you've been following that story over the past like 10 years, right?
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know how critical this is.
yeah, very.
So everybody should get the link from Sherry. Just go ahead and DM her directly.
No, here I'm gonna tell you what Twitter. Here, I'll scroll this across the bottom.
Oh, that's a good idea.
And you can follow this. Go check out this Twitter account. Not now, after we're done here.
No, but guys, I'm going to tell you something because I took a screenshot and sent this picture off to Ken the other day because I'm going to have a separate conversation with Ken like Sherry does, right? So, but I was sitting down and I was like, okay, I get this DM that comes in from someone I don't know, right? I'm not Robbie, right? I'm just a social hoe, evidently, because I got all these people on Facebook that I don't know, but they all want they sent me a request. They're good. But I had put something up that had Trump on it. And so this guy sends me this little message back on Facebook Messenger. Is that so? Right? I don't even know what story it was, guys. I throw up a whole bunch of stuff. And he goes, I don't believe any word Trump is saying. He lies so much, and I believe he is sick and has dementia.
That's what everyone says. Yeah.
Right? So I answered back, I think autocorrect changed Biden to Trump in your message. Right? I'm like, how can you sit back and go, listen to the man talk, listen to the other man talk, and you go, the dementia's over here on Trump. I'm like, come on, people.
You really, one of the biggest things I kept hearing, and I see it now. I see it so clearly now. And that is that whatever the left is accusing the right of, that's exactly what they're doing.
Exactly.
It's so clear. It is like crystal clear once you actually dig a little deeper and you understand and you're thinking clearly, you're aligned, you will see it. Whatever, it's all projection. And even when people on my post came after me, it was all projection. It was all about the Nazis spewing out Nazism and the lies are coming. Like there was no coherency with the argument. And I think when you are kind of brainwashed, you don't see that you're not even making a coherent argument. And I think that's really where we have to humble ourselves. Like I'm telling you, to make this leap of standing in my truth and saying no to Biden publicly, it's not something you do lightly, especially when you have dark skin, okay? Because you will be labeled to everything. So you have to actually ask yourself, what is it these people know that I don't know? And when people come at me, it is the same 5 bullet points. You don't care about blacks. You don't care about gays. You don't care. You want a Nazi. You want Hitler in power. Like it's no coherent. What are you talking about?
It's brainwashing. Like, how could you possibly think a black person was just like, you know what? Screw black people. I'm just going to choose this because I absolutely hate my race. Like, what do you like? You think I'm just like I don't like you said. It's not
crazy.
logical. It's emotion.
Yes.
Doesn't make any sense.
But
But
here's
that
the,
is scarier. That is scarier. Okay, that fact. Imagine if there's just put the presidency off the table for a minute. That is what I so want people to understand. That's why I will come at them at any angle. Sometimes I'll say, let me teach you about self-care. But in the back of my mind, I know that my self-care is going to lead you to be able to clear your mind of the brainwashing, discern what's in your best interest so you can reset your life and thrive and go after your dreams without this invisible, which is what it is. It's invisible, but it is a dark cloud that is coming over you, and you are not thinking or speaking coherently. Because
Absolutely.
if you look at all of us on this panel today, we have broken everything down. If you are a Biden supporter, Harris supporter, and you cannot accurately break down your case, you need to look in the mirror and ask yourself, I'm an educated person. Why am I not coming across as coherent? That's like a self-empowerment thing. I want you, no matter what you believe, I want you to be coherent in your message, right? I didn't get on Dr. Oz and Megyn Kelly by mumbling things in front of an audience for years, right? John doesn't have as many followers on TikTok as he has.
Hey, Robbie's got like 87,000.
And
so
Robbie.
He's doing okay.
And Robbie.
I saw that video too. I saw that video.
Robbie.
Yes, I mean,
You saw that video, John?
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
this happens because we are able to take our thoughts and put them together, and we are
No, it's because we're whitewashed.
right.
Did you not get the memo?
John's light skinned. Let's just address that in the room right now. Okay.
There you go.
Right there, he's leaning our way anyway.
I was already in the house. We already know. All I had to do was, clean the silverware. That's it.
There you go.
Yeah. But you have to, as Sharice's saying, right? He's right.
Yeah.
You have to be able to articulate better than I hate Orange Man.
Yeah.
Right? There has to be a reason beyond it. What's the positive? What are you going to see that's up there that's going to give us something better than what we have? And when you stop and read everything that's been put out that goes completely down the socialism mindset, and you say, you're not giving me an opportunity for us to be great, right? Regardless of a slogan. Do you guys remember when Trump came out and everything was fake news, and we all laughed? We were all like, what? He's like a parrot. He's like a parrot. He was like, fake news. And you're like, dude, what are you babbling about?
But
now we're all like,
yeah,
wow,
I think I never looked at it that way, but someone mentioned this to me a while ago. I think that's one of Trump's biggest accomplishments is exposing the lies that we consume on the daily. Because I mean, we all consumed it. No matter how intelligent you were, no matter how progressive, no matter how aware you thought you were, we were consuming this fake media, and we had no idea that it was based on lies, or at least it was fluffed up or blown out of proportion with lies. We just kind of consumed it. And we're like, fine, like I used to watch the Today Show every morning. It'd be on in the background because it was entertaining. It was like, it's fun. And then you get a headline in your ear and you're like, okay, cool. It's a headline, whatever. Yeah. But you don't realize that's just the seed planting of these fake stories. And then as your day goes on and more information from this fake news plants in your head, next thing you're hearing is just this whole narrative that's been planned out from you from the moment you woke up to the moment you go to bed. It pops up on Instagram, it pops up on Twitter, it pops up on the news, it pops up in the waiting room when you're going to the doctor, and it just slowly pieces together this puzzle of bullshit. And that's what we're consuming. And it's like, in order for us to really know that we need to dig deeper, we needed Trump to be like fake news. And he had to say it over and over and over and over again. And then finally we're like, what does he mean? And then someone dug into it and it started to get exposed. And I think that is the huge takeaway from the Trump or the Trump administration in these last 4 3/4 years, is that he's exposed the lies that America has been trying to plant to push this, choose my words wisely, different era of America. And we've been buying into it for so long, and trusting it as truth for so long. There's millions and millions of people that are still stuck in this fake news bubble, and it it is very hard to pull them out, because when you have something that is so convincing and so potent and so saturated, like it's not just a, hey, do your research to pull them out of it. No, you've got to somehow convince them in a loving way. And not to do a shameless plug, but my whole stance is much love. It's written on all my clothing. It's showing love to all these people, because if we come in there like, you're an idiot because you don't know Trump's the best, or we just yell Trump 2020, people are like, dude, get out of my face. Like, what are you doing?
Say
Like, you're annoying.
season.
I have to start with saying global warming is real and causes forest fires. Now let's talk about what's real.
Now Trump 2020.
Yeah.
But it's really showing that love right off the bat and being like, look, guys, I know what you're consuming. I was consuming it too. How about we just take a few looks at some of this other information? Let's just look at a couple of things that Trump's done. Oh, yeah, that's crazy. You didn't know that. Here's some other things you might not know. Oh, you don't agree with those? That's fine. But now you know that the information that is truly happening isn't in your face, and they have that little inkling in the back of their head. Well, maybe I should look a little bit deeper. And that's all we really can do, because, I mean, we're not going to oversaturate the mainstream media. It's just not going to happen.
But I think that, the very first well, I don't know how old. Honestly, Sherry, I don't know how old you are. Joe, no, I don't want to know. Don't tell me. That would be rude of me. But I remember.
You want me to ask her? Is that what you said?
Joe will remember this. I remember when cable TV first came out, and the very first national news channel outside of ABC, NBC, and CBS was CNN. It was the very first national news channel on cable TV.
Wow.
So for many, many, many years, and that was when I was 10.
No idea what he's talking about.
Yeah. It's been around
95 years old.
You can blame me for racism. I have never been part of it. Okay? But you cannot say I remember CNN coming into this.
Dude, jeez. Anyway, racism's your fault. So anyway, look, it's been around for so long, and it was, America's most trusted news network. Well, that's Fox now, I think. I don't know. I get them all mixed up, but they've been embedded in society for so long that people are like, but CNN said it. If CNN
it's a long con, man. It's a long con.
People will say, well, this newspaper, the New York Times, said it. Oh my God. So people don't think, well, I need to look beyond. Fox News, I don't listen to Fox News. I sat down for a little bit last night and I watched Sean Hannity for a little bit, and I was like, man, this is some crazy stuff, man. Because honestly, the only reason I did it last night is because of that video and all the digging I did. I was like, all right, Fox is going to break this story. And they did.
Nope. I'm not losing my job over this.
I think
yeah.
Too much information, to be honest, to have reported on it so fast.
You have to dissect it for a while.
Yeah, I'm hoping so, because it is so inflaming. But I do, especially piggybacking on what John and Ken Walls were saying. I do understand what it's like to listen to the media through the lens of being traumatized because of what happened right when George Floyd was murdered. So I want to just share that for those of you, because I know there's some people that really were triggered by my post that are watching this right now. So when I speak and when I share where my stance is right now, I want you guys to understand that I know what it's like to want so much for, the gay community, Black lives, Latino lives. I know, like my whole life has been, I don't judge people for who they are. I have all types of friends, right? I attract all types of people with my brand in my clientele. So I'm like the last person I think that anybody would ever accuse of like not wanting basic rights or freedoms for any group of people, right? So I don't think anybody that disagreed with my post thinks I'm like that, but I think that's just what the media has taught them to kind of spout back at me, right? Like, oh, you don't care for, LGBTQ, you don't care about Holocaust survivors, whatever it is that's in their mind. So I just want to share, like, I know what it's like. I know the power of the media. I know what it's like to have that triggered in my head and then assume and jump to the conclusion that the entire GOP just wants to crush gay rights, or that by reelecting Trump, it means we are installing a Hitler regime. Like I get that that's what you think. I really want everyone to understand, and that's why I didn't argue back with anyone's points or emotions. I actually let people private message me. I let them share their feelings, and that's what it was. There was no policy in the argument. I just let them. They said, "Hey, Sherry," and they listed paragraphs and paragraphs of their feelings.
Yeah.
And I said, "Thank you for sharing. I totally respect your thoughts, and I will be sharing my thoughts in future posts, future live streams." That's what took place in my private message, because that's who I am.
Do you feel like that you coming out, did you worry about that affecting business?
I did months prior, right? Because this is not just sudden for me. And I'm sure if a lot of people knew where I voted last election, they'd be like, "What?" So, there's a lot you don't know about me, right?
Where did you vote last election?
Right? I mean, there's a lot people don't know about me. You can't assume anything,
No, I understand, because I lost tons of jobs as soon as I started getting on TikTok and things got shared, because TikTok gets shared on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. I mean, I had a video that had over 20 million views on Twitter, and I don't even have a Twitter. So my business tanked for the most part. I'm a contractor. I build custom homes and do remodels, and it just so happened that the two clients that I had lined up for the next 6 months didn't like what I was talking about, and a couple 100,000 jobs each, and they just dropped it. They're just like, you know what, I don't think we have compatibility, and just done. So it happens, but then again, I was like, it sucked, and it was. I mean, it wasn't devastating, but it was difficult. Yeah. But like you said at the very beginning, the peace that I felt inside, I so much so that, like, I mean, I think Robbie might have seen it. I ordered myself a Trump hat. Like, as soon as that happened, I was like, you know what?
Right?
Screw this. If I'm gonna get, I'm going full.
I don't even own a Trump hat.
Me either.
People were like, why? It's just start stuff. Like, there's no reason. That's my point of view. I was like, why? It just starts stuff. There's no reason. It accomplishes nothing. No one's gonna see you in a hat and be like, oh, Trump. You got a Trump doll. That's way worse.
And this is what's sad, though. This is what's sad about being Black in America, is I think the three of us, not to not include you, Ken.
Yeah, that's all right. I'll sit on the side.
I don't like that. Don't do that again.
Don't do that again.
I think there's something that so many Blacks we've never actually been able to stand in our full truth and honor
slavery.
and honor that I may have had a different background from John and a different background from Robbie. Like, we've not been allowed to be us as an individual. We've always been lumped as a group. And so I think when you come out finally and say, guess what? You see my skin color, and I also go to NASCAR races,
Yep.
and I also don't want to vote for Kamala Harris. Like, there's such freedom as a Black woman to stand on my own and no longer be lumped into a single mindset because of the color of my skin. I cannot even express how aligned and on fire I feel. I feel like a new woman that can conquer any mountain now in life. Now imagine if
Wow.
little black girls and little black boys felt that confident
Oh
in
That's what
their
man.
I'm saying.
skin.
Oh man. That's
You know,
that's
I have
huge.
I I
Go for
have
it, man.
a lot of my friends are police officers, and when I saw what happened to George Floyd, I left my house for a little bit because I wasn't torn because it was a black person. I was torn because it was a person. He was a person, and the fact that it was done in front of the world, even if it would have happened behind closed doors, but I saw it with my eyes. I couldn't deny what I was seeing. I was so beside myself. But every single friend I have that's a police officer who happens to be white called and said, man, that was horrible. You know, that was completely wrong. Every single one of them. I don't know one of them that didn't say that. And for once and for all, I felt relieved because I felt like, okay, everybody sees that this is wrong. And for once in our lives, we can all come together and agree on a topic. But then when the rioting started and the narrative started to get out about the police officers, I know that it had to hurt. It's, you know, calling, you know, putting police officers under the microscope like they've been over the past couple of months and even years is equivalent to considering that all black people are violent. It's the same thing when you're doing this blanket statement. I know these guys, and they are people, humans. We all are. And so I went through a moment of cognitive dissonance for a week or so because I understood my narrative, but then I was battling against the narrative that I felt like I was expected to hold for the world. And I consulted with my wife. I said, look, I'm about to come out and express myself. What do you think? She says, do you believe in what you are saying? I said, absolutely. She said, put it out there. Whoever doesn't like it, they didn't like you in the beginning anyway. They just liked you because you agreed with them. But I agree with you, Sherry, so much because I don't even like the term black culture because we don't say white culture.
No.
We don't, you know, we don't. We just say Americans. Like we are all of us are individuals.
Yeah.
All of us, we are individuals. John and I can grow up in the same neighborhood, living side by side, and we can have two totally different experiences. Just because we live in the same neighborhood and we happen to have the same color skin doesn't mean that we're going to agree on the same topics and that we're going to have the same outlook on life. And I feel like it's a weird ideology. And let me tell you, at first I thought it was white people putting this narrative out, black culture. But when I came out and I started to voice my opinion about how I felt, particularly during this election, I started being attacked by people that look like me.
Yep.
I said, it's not what I'm thinking. It's our own people who want us to stay inside of a certain mindset. So I'm just like, how does that make me less of a person, right? Or less of a black person, if you want to put it, because I don't agree with the narrative that is being highlighted in mainstream media that black people all feel oppressed. I've never once felt oppressed in this country. Now it's
a statue though. Like remember, like, it's that. Like I've had people, like you said, people that look like me, that live lives like me, tell me that I'm not respecting my ancestors, saying I'm not respecting my past, I'm not respecting my race. So we hold this oppression and this racism and this historical timeline of bad things. I mean, we can all agree on that. That's why when people argue,
Very
I'm like,
bad.
slavery was a thing, crime bill was a thing, all these things that happen. And yes, they're real. But you can't tell people like me who don't feel that oppression right now because I'm gonna start my own business. I'm gonna achieve. I'm gonna do what I want. These people who look like me are like, son, you're not respecting your history. You're not respecting the oppression, basically. And I'm like, so you're seeing a young black man like myself saying, screw the system. I'm going to go out and get mine. And you're going to tell me I'm disrespecting my oppression. You're not like, hey, go get it, John, be better, create, break the narrative, break through, break the chains, do what's best for you, do what's best for your family, achieve, be that guy. They're saying you're not respecting your oppression. Get in line. You know what? And it blows my mind. And they're like, the white people, I'm like, the white people aren't telling me that. The white people aren't saying stop. The white people are like, hey, how can I help? And then you have these, and I'm not talking down on all the black community. I'm not talking down on everybody, but it's crazy how this comes out when I have these gray-haired black men, well-educated, university educated, telling me that I'm not respecting my culture because I'm telling people that they can go out and get it for themselves. That is mind-blowing. That is mental slavery. That is black people telling other black people that they need to respect their oppression as if it's this statue that we worship. And it blows my mind. Kids grow up playing soccer with Asians, with Hispanics, with people from all different places in the world. And we need to tell them, no, you guys are different. How dare you think you can be friends and be equal to these other races? You're black. Yeah. You have these issues. The system stacked against you. Police don't like you. The reason he got killed is because he was black. Don't live life like you're a human being. Live it like you're black. And I can't fathom teaching, like my daughter says this every morning. And I made a video earlier. Some kid was saying it. And every time she hears the word blessed, she's like, I'm blessed. I'm smart. I can do anything. And every morning, I'm like, hey, you're blessed, you're smart, you can do anything. And then she'll tell me that. It's like, Daddy, did you know that you're blessed, you're smart, and you can do anything? I'm like, as a matter of fact, I did know that. Thank you. But it's that small mentality, that small change of being like, hey, guys, you aren't black, you aren't white, you are you. And you are blessed, you are talented, you can go out and you can achieve. So don't let anybody say, hold up, I was oppressed however many hundreds of years ago. I was oppressed however many 50 years ago. We still fighting the same fight today, last year, last month, yesterday. Don't achieve. It's BS, and I'm sick of the black people, the white people, whoever's pushing it left, right. I don't care. If you're telling some individual that they can't because of the way they look or the direction or the place that they came from, it's complete BS, and I'm done. I'm tired of it. And that's why my TikTok, I'm just no tolerance. I'm going to be respectful, but I'm no tolerance for this. You can't. It drives me nuts.
I had a guy the other night, I was saying the same thing you were saying, and he was telling me, he says, I'm from Chicago. We all don't have the same opportunity. We can't, everybody can't be you. I said, look, dude, do you want me to literally go down and tell you all the reasons why I shouldn't have been where I am right now? Because I can do it. I can definitely do it. I can tell you about my near-death experience. I can tell you about my alcoholic father who was abusive. I can tell you about me dropping out in the 9th grade. I can tell you about me witnessing my uncle get murdered. I can tell you about all of these things. But I didn't use that as an excuse to say, oh, I can't. I used all that as an excuse to say, I can't.
Robbie, don't forget about the gang that you were in and the rap star that you were.
I could tell them about the rapping and the street life. I could tell them about all
Robbie,
that.
I was a better rapper than you. I used to be a rap star, so don't.
We can battle right now, John.
Bro, if you want to go, let's
battle right now.
Let's go, bro. I'm ready.
Got 8 Mile busting loose up in here.
But what I'm trying to tell people is, like, no matter who you are, no matter where you are, no matter what color you are, today, listen, there are going to be people that don't like you because of the color of your skin. True enough, okay? But there are also going to be people that don't like you because you're too tall or too short or too fat or too skinny or too rich or too poor or too. Everybody has adversity. Everybody. We don't have a problem with racism in America. We have a problem with certain individuals having hatred in their heart. And hatred is a category of race, or racism is a category of hatred. It's hatred.
Right.
You just call it racism because this person have a different color skin than you. But don't use that as an excuse. There are great people out here. I know so many people from all walks of life. And it's a great time to be alive if you can just set the victim mentality to the side.
Yes. I
Amen.
fully
Wow.
100% agree to that.
Great time to be alive. This is amazing.
Yes. That's how I feel. I really feel, this year started off really traumatic for a lot of us, but
Yes.
boy, it really it called us to do the work on ourselves and really see what we were made of,
Yep.
Yeah.
right? And I think those of us that did that work, I think we're just in a place right now where we're so excited for the future. And we're so excited to even meet others like us that really understand that as tough as 2020 was, we've become so much stronger,
Yeah.
right? And it's
And
like we're all connecting now.
aware.
And exactly. And like we're all connecting now. And it's like the possibilities of what we can all come together and create now
It's
I
amazing.
think is such a blessing. Such a blessing. And Ken, thank you for pulling us together.
Jeez.
Oh my God.
I love all three of you.
I love all three of you guys too.
I-
Yeah, this was awesome. Thanks, guys.
And Joe said he was sorry he had to bounce. The cops showed up. So
Was that a joke or was he serious about that?
he's full of crap, man.
Definitely joking.
It's the wrong one.
This has been phenomenal. And I want, before we bounce, and I know, John, you said you have to go.
Yeah, I got a podcast I got to record after this, but I'm they're waiting on me. So whenever I'm out, I'm out.
One last quick question, if I may.
Sure.
And I want Sherry to start. What happens if Biden wins?
That's not a short question.
John sat back on that one.
Oh man, that's me removing myself from the question.
That is not a send-off question.
We just started 3 hours more of talking.
Exactly. Because I'll tell you exactly what will happen if he wins. But yeah, I would need a little bit more time. I think that's a segue for part 2, to be honest. But
we don't even need to think about that. How about that?
Yeah, I think we need to
Put that up. Let's not
answer that.
all that nonsense.
Listen, this is
what I can tell you now.
Answer it, Robbie.
Is in my world, that doesn't happen. But anyway, go ahead, Robbie.
the way I'm looking at it. I've already made up my mind that, regardless of who's in office, I voted today. I gotta say that again. I'm excited about that. But whoever wins, I'ma still look good. I'ma still be happy with my family. I'ma still be healthy. I'ma still get money. I'ma still grow my company. I'ma still meet people across the world. I'ma still travel, and I'ma still wake up and feel great about life every single day.
I want to second that 100%. Tell people that every day. When you wake after all the ballots have been counted, what are you gonna do? You're gonna put your boots on. You're gonna put your dress shoes on. You're gonna put your suit on. You're gonna go out and do exactly what you did the day before. You're gonna, and when you're done, you're gonna go down and you're gonna sit next to the family in the same house that you had before. You're gonna do the same thing. You're gonna spend time with the loved ones that you had before. You're gonna invest in the people that you were investing in before. Again, if in some way Biden wins the election, it's one of those things where, yes, he is now my president. As much as it sounds horrible, he is my president. I'm not going to disrespect my country that way. Whoever the majority speaks, that's what it is. But it's not going to stop me from achieving. So there's no difference. To be honest, the day after the election, regardless if it's Trump or Biden, my day looks the same. My month looks the same. My 12-year, 20-year might look a little different. Might be a little 4-year bump. But it's again, it's you gotta stop letting presidents, you got to stop letting the government dictate your path in what's best for you. It doesn't matter. Like I'm not a big fan of Bush. I'm not a big fan of Clinton. I'm not a big fan of Obama. There's all these things that have happened in life, but your trajectory should be what's for you, not what's happening over there in the Capitol, where it takes a long time to trickle down to you. So
yeah,
it's the same old.
Wow.
Yeah.
You guys are amazing. Seriously, this has been absolutely phenomenal. And I do think we should do it again.
Yes.
Let's do it.
I would love to.
I'm down.
I would too. All right. Hey, thank you all. Thank you to everybody who's watched and hung out with us and shared this out. And I appreciate all of you. If you can hang out, if you guys can hang out for a second, I'm going to end the broadcast. We'll see you guys later. Thanks so much. Thank you guys. Seriously, all of
Have a
you.
good one.
All right.